Welcome back, everyone. It's been a while since I've done a computer video. The last one I think I did was the Toshiba T3200SX, which is sitting in that case right there. It's done. It's finished. Everything's going fine with that. And I think I got to get to maybe selling off some of my other machines that are just sitting under there, wasting space. The number of laptops that I have, that I currently own, is a lot smaller than what it once was. And that's kind of the direction I want to go. I'm trying to preserve really good examples of iconic machines, and that's what I'm focused on now. My computer collection is really getting smaller, and that's by design. Like, I collected a lot of glut that it's cool, but I'm like, it's not really historical or significant. Like, for example, the latest laptop, I sold two laptops recently. One of them was my IBM ThinkPad 760XL. Now, that one was a machine that was very near and dear to me, and it was a hard machine to let go. That was a machine that I owned as a kid. It was one of the first laptops I ever bought, went out and paid for, and I bought mine used. It was like 4 years old. Well, I found one. It was a pristine example, and I held on to it for almost 10 years, where I finally realized that it's just deteriorating, and it needs to be rehomed. The reason I sold it, and I was pretty forthright on this, is precision, my ass. The reason I sold it was because it was deteriorating. The rubberized coating on the machine was starting to get a little tacky, and I figured let's let somebody else deal with it. So I sold it. I don't regret it. It had to go. I mean, I've got this iMac. This is a machine that I sought out. This is the original OG iMac from 1998. This one was actually made in 99, I believe. So it's a little bit, it's a later version of the first edition of the iMac. But I wanted a good, clean example that wasn't used in a school, and that's why I bought this. Paid top dollar for it. Whatever. It looks nice on my desk. This Tandy 425SX, it just kind of fell into my lap. This was the machine a very similar machine to what I first used for internet access back in 1997, I think it was. And this is the closest approximation to that machine that I could find, and it was a local transaction. I think I paid $200 for it, complete with printer and everything works. And the original keyboard, that was a pretty good find. They got the Windows 98 PC. I bought that for 99 cents at Savers several years ago. And it's just a machine that I test a lot of software out on if I get a copy of a particular game. It's actually a Windows 98 machine, so anything that requires Windows 98 goes on that. And then you've got to have the 2GS. You got to have the 2GS. I just sold my 2C to, of all people, my boss. I had a pristine 2C with the RAM expansion, the external drive, the 2C mouse, the 2C external drive, which was a special drive for that machine. It was a good example of a 2C. And again, I'm trying to cut down. I'm trying to cut back. So that had to go. So a couple $100, sold it to my boss. He asked, hey, do you got any vintage apples? I'd like to put one in my office. And I said, you just might get lucky. So I sold him that. But I'm not selling the 2GS. I'm not selling the LC3. The LC3 is going to remain in my collection as a permanent piece indefinitely. Why? Because the LC3 is my all-time favorite vintage Mac. It is the ultimate vintage Mac for me, because it has a fully modular design. It's easy to work on. And I think, and I've said this before, it is one of the best looking classic Macs from, let's be honest, the malaise era of Apple. It is one of the sexiest machines they ever made from that time period. Prove me wrong, but the proportions are perfect. The lines are perfect. I mean, I love looking at it. I just think it is the most beautiful example of kind of the late Snow White period for Apple. And this is the correct keyboard for this machine. This is, by the way, this is an authentic Snow White keyboard. This is what they used. The Apple IIgs, it's kind of funny, I have these side by side. They're both Snow White machines. But the 2GS was the beginning of that time period for Apple. Now, to complement the LC3, I acquired this. This is a color OneScanner. I didn't go looking for this. It actually came to me. So I used to work with a guy back when I was in high school. This gentleman got a job working in the electronics department where I was at the Amherst Walmart Supercenter. And if you're from southern New Hampshire, you know exactly where that is. Or northern Mass. A lot of our customers are from Massachusetts. No taxes. So this guy got a job working with us, and he was just he was a short timer. He worked in corporate IT, I think, and but his true passion is graphic design, and he was a talented artist, and not like a Rembrandt or a Picasso but this guy could sketch cartoons that would just visually make you laugh your ass off. And he drew a couple of cartoons that were not raunchy in any way, just like almost like Ziggy-like comic, but a little edgier. I've always loved his work. And he just, I guess he went into IT. But anyway, long story short, he did a lot of, he scanned a lot of images back in the day from his sketchbook. And that's why he acquired this. This is a 1994 Apple Color OneScanner. This came to me, he actually sent me a message through Facebook the other day, and he's like, "Hey, I got this scanner. Do you want it?" And I said, "Well, I don't need a scanner, but what the hell? I've got the perfect machine. It's from the right time period, and it works. It should work. These are pretty well made." So the Color OneScanner, I have to pull up the actual specs. Let's see if I can find, here's the box. So I have all the software for it. And all the discs work. Kind of a bonus. 2 floppy disks. This is it. That's all you need. 2 floppies. It was a different time. You got the OPhoto was the software that you would use to acquire the image. OPhoto, I believe, has some pretty interesting photo enhancement features. It's kind of like a really, really watered down, what am I trying to say? Photoshop. If you were serious about design, you could definitely, Adobe Photoshop existed at the time. And we're going to pull up the specifications. Let's see what the resolution is and all that. I'm sure look at all this paperwork. Let's take a good few seconds and appreciate what you got here. We got business reply mail for Light Source Computer Images Incorporated. Scanning for profit, tips for home use, visual education. OPhoto. So OPhoto was created by Light Source. I did not know that. I thought it was, but that is what Apple included with all of their scanners. And there's your 1-year limited warranty, long expired. Let's see, what's this? Now this is so 1994. Look at the visual style here. It's actually, ooh. Let's see. Is there any dating on this? Yeah, right. Look at that. Visa, MasterCard. So to order this Scantastic PS for the Apple line of scanners, write your name, account number for your Visa card, the expiration date, and the bank name, and your signature, and just drop it in the mail because it's 1994. Let's see. We'll keep you up and running. Product registration, user assistance toll free. I should call that 1-8. I think that's the real number still. I wish I could call that. I can't call it and film at the same time. But I think that's still a legitimate number. Let's see what else is in here. Ooh. Imagine. Quick Take. Oh, wow. These are all their imaging products. So, check this out. So I don't know if the guy I bought this from, or who gave it to me, sorry, if he got this used or bought it new. It's not really known, but if he bought this thing new, he probably paid a pretty penny for it. So creativity begins with your imagination. You have an idea and you want to see it. Look at that. You start with words, but words alone don't express it. So you decide to add a few quick photographs with your Quick Take 100. And maybe an illustration or two from a rare book you found at the library. That's what the scanner's for. And then they've got their printing options, both color and black and white. Let's see. Any pricing in here? Of course not. But let's see. A multi-scan 20-inch display. 15. There's the Audio Vision 14. I kind of want one of those. But finding one in working condition today is going to be very hard. The color 14-inch was actually an optional display upgrade for the LC series as well. The Quick Take 100. You've got the color OneScanner and the OneScanner. So the OneScanner was the black and white. The color OneScanner is obviously the color. And you could indeed get software for Windows for this machine, or for this scanner. It's okay. As long as they got their money, they don't care. Here's all the part numbers for the printers, the color, StyleWriter Pro, StyleWriter 24. You pay for it with your Citibank card. And you get a free t-shirt. You know, you gotta appreciate the amount of documentation that you used to get when you bought something like this. Really anything. Let's see. I wonder if the specs are in here. I don't know. Let's see. Maintenance, menu commands, problems. Anything? It'll be towards the back here. Service, assembling a scud. Appendix B, 121. Let's see what we got. 115, 121. It's, you got to appreciate the amount of documentation and the quality of these booklets that came with all of this equipment when it was new. I still have, actually I do have, I think, the paperwork that came with the LC3. I think I've got most of it. I'm going to take a look at those boxes in a minute, and we'll see what's up there. But I think I have the manuals for the LC3. We'll take a look in a second. Here we go. Flatbed, 8.5 by 14 scanning document size maximum. Dropout color white. Power racks, power consumption. That's it. Doesn't tell you anything about its, well, you know what? I'm going to dig it up. I'm going to go online, and I just creased that manual. I feel so bad for myself. I'm going to go online, and we're going to look and see, because I'm curious. In the meantime, let's turn on the Mac, and we're going to run some test scans with it and see how long it takes. Shall we? So I'm going to turn the scanner on first, so that it's up and ready on the SCSI chain. It's going to warm up. It takes a minute. Now, these old scanners, modern scanners, they use LED lighting. In fact, I own one of the first ones. I owned, back in 1998, my parents bought me a scanner for Christmas. It was a Canon FB320p. And it was an LIDE scanner. Now, the LIDE scanner scanning bars are like that thick. They're tiny little things. But as you're going to see in a minute, before the LED scanners, you had these. Now, this uses a fluorescent tube. That thing right there. And I do not know if these were meant to be replaceable or not, but they can be replaced. You can buy these tubes. I think you can still get them if they burn out. And they do burn out. on a scanner that's used heavily, that will start to develop the same dark spots you get with a standard fluorescent light bulb. And I think that was intended to be not replaceable, if I'm not mistaken. But look at how massive this scanning assembly is. And it uses, I believe, a CMOS sensor or something like that to capture the image. The LED scanners, or the Canon LIDE scanners, I'm not really sure what they use for an image capture sensor, but I'm sure it's a similar technology using, you know, basic optics. I should have taken mine apart to see how it worked, but I never did. But the quality that you see in this, look at that, steel reinforced rails, thick cogged belts. I mean, this thing was built like a tank. And I do not know if that bulb is replaceable. I will find out, though. So let me do some searching and see what the specs are. Why don't we go straight to Wiki, right? Let's see. Early 1990s, the original OneScanner was introduced in 91 to replace the early Apple scanner. 8-bit, 256 grayscale. Okay. The color OneScanner, 1200, with a resolution of 600 by 1200, and 30-bit color scanning. There was an option for automatic page feeding. We don't have that. And a transparency scanner. Obviously SCSI, and they were discontinued in 1997. So this came out in 1992. So that makes it a very acceptable pairing with the LC3. I think that's a perfect pairing. When I say that, what I'm referring to is, if you were to, hypothetically, if you bought that LC3 brand new in 1993, which is about when it was made, what other accessories would have been available to you at that time? Well, in 1993, you could buy the Color OneScanner. You could buy the Image Writer 2. They still made them. Or, if you had the money, you could buy the Style Writer. Now, this Style Writer is pretty much a dead-end product. I don't even bother hooking it up anymore because it no longer, I cannot get good cartridges for it anymore. And refilling the old ones is a moot point. They just don't hold up. So I've decided to scuttle it for now. I found one cartridge left in my stash that still worked. And now that it's been opened for a couple of months, it probably won't be usable anymore. So I just stick with, when it comes to printers that I pair with my vintage machines, for me, I stick with either laser, which I don't have any other than the one I actually run for my business, or dot matrix. Dot matrix printers are pretty much bulletproof. You can re-ink these things until the end of civilization, and they will still work. You could make ink out of whatever you wanted, and re-ink those ribbons, and they'll still run. They're the only printer, I think, in the planet that can do that. Anyway, so we know what it's capable of, which 1200 DPI by 600. That's not that bad. That's not that bad at all. So let's see how it runs on the LC3. And we're gonna open up. I already installed the software, so no climactic will it install or will it work videos here. Let me find a photo to scan. I must have a good one here. Hey, Butterboy. His name's Butterscotch, but I call him Butterboy. He sleeps right next to me every night for the past 6 months. He has slept right by my side. Won't do that with Amelia, though. I don't know why. He attached himself to me. Imprinted. I think the term is imprint. He imprinted on me. But during the day, or when everyone's up and awake, he likes to be by himself. He won't. Sometimes he will. Sometimes he won't. Interesting little guy. So we got a picture Let's put it on the old scanner. Now, I haven't really decided how I'm going to display this piece. I haven't really figured that out yet. I can't stay here because this is my workspace for my radios. And hey, you two. Look at these little brothers. Little guys. All right, so let's do this. So it's 1993. I just bought my new Color OneScanner and my LCIII, and I'm just playing around, and I want to scan an image. We're using System 7.1 here. What exact release is this? Just 7.1. We've got... that's a pretty big drive in this thing. It's got like a 250 megabyte SCSI drive in there. Apparently not. I thought I had a 250 in here. Looks like it's an 80. No way. I thought I had something bigger in this machine, but I don't. OneScanner. Let's open it up. Oh, photo. I had an 8th grade teacher who used to say that whenever she used her scanner, she's like, "I need to open all photo." Like, yeah. It was a different time. All right, you could say you know what she's going for, right? Okay, yeah. So I think my color depth on this is set to. Is it set to thousands or millions of color? Let's see. Okay. This takes a minute to load. Okay. Let's go to my control panel. If you want your color depth to be set pretty decently, for this to work, I'd set it to thousands. There we go. That'll be better. All right. Now remember, nothing that we're using today is newer than like 94. So just keep that in the back of your head, right? Okay. We're talking technology that is 28 years old. Will soon be 30. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a pre-scan. Actually, do I need to... I'm going to close the software because I just changed the color depth. I want to make sure that it's correct when I go to start it up. Of course, the machine's going to run like shit now that I've upped the color depth. That's all right. There's no way that's just an 80. Come on. That's one of my best... I think I put one of my best drives in here. It's an IBM. We'll take a look in a minute because this machine is easy to get into. So we're going to look and see what kind of drive is in this. I think it's an IBM drive, which is why it still works, by the way. That's not applications, you dummy. OneScanner. The IBM drives lasted longer than the venerable Quantum drives, which pretty much failed like crazy. The IBMs held up pretty well, in my experience. And they love to be turned on every once in a while to just keep things juiced up. It's always good to do that. This machine, if you're not familiar with this machine in particular, it has been completely recapped. I did it a couple years ago. This one had several leaking capacitors towards the rear of the logic board, which I went ahead and I replaced them all. So this machine has had a lot of work done. It's like Joan Rivers, for God's sakes. It's been around the block. It's also a mishmash of other LCs. So the scanner's going. Okay, doing our pre-scan. Let's see how... Look at how fast that is, though. I mean, really, that isn't bad. And for 1994, the image quality wasn't terrible. That was amazing. I remember if I saw something like that when I was in middle school back then, when this was made, or actually elementary school, I would have been blown away because, I mean, really, though, that's not bad. Now, you see this dark spot right here? That could be some light leaking. I'm going to pre-scan it one more time. Let me tell you what I mean. So there's a little dark spot, and it's possible that it's because the lamp didn't warm up fully. Why don't we Give it a minute. Yeah, we don't need a cal. Let's do a pre-scan. So because of so fluorescent lights, as you all should know, they don't reach their brightest until they've warmed up. And hey, cat was scratching the carpet. Butter boy. Let's see what we got. No, it's still there. Another possibility is that there could be a dark spot or discoloration on the bed. On the bed, but on the let's take a look. I'm gonna scan this right now, and we're gonna play with it for a minute. We're gonna kind of play with the image a little better. So we're gonna do a full scan, and then we're gonna do another thing. I want to take a look at that the light block, which is a flexible foam-backed piece of plastic that's on the other side of the lid. If there's a spot in there that's discolored, you're gonna see that. So let's just see. It really is amazing that a machine that's this old can still be used for desktop publishing if you wanted to use it. Like, if I could live with dot matrix printouts, or maybe hook it up to a laser, which is doable. I think I have the Ethernet card in this, right? Yes, I do. So what I could do is I could actually use that printer right, that scuzzy, that laser printer right there. If I used the Apple laser writer driver, I bet you I could send a print job to that printer with this machine. I'm fairly certain that thing can emulate a laser writer. How cool would that be? That'd be pretty damn cool, I think. Maybe in another video we'll give it a shot. We'll give it a try, see what it does. Want to place your bets? So now it's going to be scanning it at full quality. This is so cool. This is so cool. But this old stuff still works flawlessly. It's just amazing to me. And yet I've got a pile of MacBook Airs that are only like a couple years old that are all dead at work. All from the same flaws. But that pales in comparison to the pile of Lenovo's that I've had to throw away for the same reason. All right. All right. You know what? It looks a little bit light up here. Okay. Now we're driving, by the way, in a 1994 Mazda Miata. Okay, I think I see the problem. Yeah. I think I do. I think there's a little bit of discoloration on that. I could be wrong, though. But you can see the fluorescent lights burning bright right there. But that discoloration is not in the image. Let's take a look at the image. Okay, so you can see static electricity. I forgot about that. You can see that there's a washed out spot right up here from the light, from the sun, and it's picking up that. So let's take a look at this image. Let's maximize it here. Let's are we seeing it at 100%? Let's zoom in. Let me make this bigger. There we go. That's not bad. I mean, it's dark. It is darker than the original image, but yeah. Oh yeah, it's darker. I bet we can correct it though. Let's see. Balance exposure, maybe. I've got to figure out a way to set this machine up with a printer and scanner. that makes a way that makes sense. Oh, it's lightening it up right now. It's balancing the exposure. Let's see what it does. That's me drinking my iced coffee. This was taken about... oh, look at that. Oh, that's way better. Look at that. I think this picture was taken in 2018 or 19. I'm not sure which. 2019, I think, is when we took this picture. All right, now that it's correcting the exposure, look at that. Not shabby at all. I mean, come on, we're talking technology that was state of the art in 1993, 92. I'll take it. You know what? I think that's as good as it's going to get. It's not bad. Not bad at all. Let's save that. I'm going to save that image. I like that. It's a nice picture of the two of us. That's fine. I don't care about the calibrations. We're going to save it as a... Oh, I have very limited options. As a picked file, a DCS, no bitmaps, just TIFF or... Yeah. No compression. No compression. This image is going to be big. So... Amelia me. We're going to save it on the desktop. Save. See how big that image is. Are you playing with my packing materials? Look at them go. Oh, I think I hear some clicking. It means it's done. Click, click, clickety, clack, click, clack, click, clack. These are all boards I need to rebuild. Put those in the back burner. Yeah, the radio business is starting to pick up a little bit. I got 3 stereos that came in from one customer. One guy wants me to do 3 stereos, and I think there's more where that came from. And I had to order all the parts. They just came in, so I got to start working on those hopefully this week. And might use a vacation day at work and just get them done. Just bang them out. Because I got more coming, so yeah, that's exciting. So these are, all 3 of these, they're all getting the same stuff. We need belts in the cassette decks. We need tweaking on the CD mechanisms. A little cleanup. New bulbs, and they all get Bluetooth. It's a pretty sweet payday on those. But, okay. All right, our picture is now... Oh, it's still saving. Just like a modern computer, right? Just a little slower. Just a little slower. Just a little slower. What I really wanted to find, though, is... And I almost bought one, but the guy wanted too much. More than I wanted to spend on this. But I wanted to get the Image Writer scanning head. There is an actual scanning head that they made for the Image Writer next to the kitty. Hey, kitty. Hey, buddy. It's a scanning head. And you can actually scan images into an Apple IIgs, for example. If you want to. It's an option. You can use that. I don't know how good of an option that is, but it's an option. Now, as I understand it, you cannot use photos as a background image in System 7.1. That didn't come out until much later. But here's our image file. Get info. Oh. Really? I can't see what size it is? Really? Oh, that's not the image I saved. Did it not save it? It's not the file I gave it. Did I save it somewhere else? No, I saved it on the desktop. That should be my file. But it, for whatever reason, didn't save it correctly. So, can I open it? see. Well, that's kind of, well, we know it works. We're almost there. We're like almost there. I'm not going to do this over again. I don't have time. But you saw it scan. It worked. Just a little slow. Could have sworn I saved that file. Still loading. I should get that extension that shows you disk activity so you can actually hear it. Ah, I guess it didn't save it. Well, that was disappointing. Hey, it worked though. I think just got to play around with it a little more and throw that away. All right, it's not a real. I might have to rebuild the desktop file now. God damn it. Let's try this again. I'm going to start over. The file's not real. Birds aren't real and the earth is flat. Right. Okay, Braden. All right. Love that custom stud spacing, huh? No shit. Love it. Quality build. I've said it before and I'll say it again. You know, one of these days to the moon. No, I'm going to tear this room down and rebuild it correctly. One of these days. This room will be completely torn down. We're going to build 2 rooms. This one will be rebuilt. I'm going to build a bathroom on the other side of that wall, okay? And there's going to be a bigger office on the other side of the staircase, on the other side of this wall. That will be Amelia's space. This will be my space. We'll have a second bathroom, improved property value, and maybe even a laundry room. I'm thinking one of these days. It's just, you know, money doesn't grow on trees. I'm going to have to fix a lot of radios to do that. Money doesn't grow on trees. But the new and improved version of this room, that door is going to be stuffed a little bit more that way. Enough room to get a full-length counter bar in here down one side of the wall. And then a half a counter bar above it for shelving. Oh, it's going to be great. Oh, wait. That's weird. It now came up with the correct name. Well, what the hell? That's strange behavior. I might have to try this again. I'll do it off camera. I'll redo it off camera. We'll see what happens. But yes, desktop publishing in 1994 was radio. You know, and there's a false narrative that older computers lasted longer, and they actually do. But when you start getting... Now, computers made in, like, the early 90s... I'm going to have to do that. Continue, open image, proceed, yes. A lot of work went into this computer to make it work again. You understand? It's on its 3rd hard drive, okay? 3rd hard drive. And the first 2 were all quantums. And they all failed in the quantum way. This guy here, last I knew, was an IBM, so fingers crossed. The IBMs, they don't die. They just keep on clicking. But I could have sworn I had a much bigger drive in this machine, so I'm going to look into that in a minute. All right, so the picture is still there, but it just didn't fully actualize, materialize, synergize. But the image is still there. It just doesn't seem to be the corrected version. Oh, maybe it is. Interesting. Unfortunately, an entire section of this video ended up getting corrupt. And I couldn't use any of the footage, so I'm going to just kind of talk a little bit, and we're going to bask in the sounds and sights of at ease for a little bit while I sit here and blab on. So I did upgrade the VRAM on this machine. I don't exactly know what size module I put in, but it's got a little more video memory. And I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember from my earlier days how this worked, but the onboard, so these machines would support, the LC3 would support 16-bit color, at least, by default. But what it would do is it would pull from the system memory to make that possible, which would slow the machine down. There was an additional VRAM, there was a VRAM slot, a 72-pin VRAM slot on the board. And you could pop a VRAM module in there, which would take care of the video memory, and it would free up system memory. I could be wrong on this, and I actually I think I am wrong. But so let's talk about this LC for a little bit. I've said this before, and I've been saying this for years. It is one of the best looking vintage Macs from the early 90s. It's probably one of the best looking old world Macs of all time. Probably one of the best looking Macs, period. In my humble opinion, it is, the styling is late Snow White period. So while they didn't have the frameless keyboard like the 2GS, it did share the 2GS's side streaks. And they were both functional and cosmetic. They were blended in with actual vents, as you can see on the system shell here. And in fact, I don't have one over, oh, it's over there. I've got an SE over there, which has a very similar styling to it. But the LC3 was the last of the Snow Whites. It really was. In fact, I forget exactly what year it was, but they did redesign these systems. They dropped this particular monitor entirely, and the base system chassis was completely redesigned. Same footprint, same basic design, but it lost the side streaks, and it lost this recess in the front of the system unit. And I believe it went to a manual inject floppy. Let me explain what that means for a sec. For those of you who don't know this, the manual inject floppies don't... See, these actually, they have a spring-loaded mechanism that grabs the disc and pulls it in like that. That's an auto-inject floppy. The manual inject floppies, you push it in a little bit further. But to facilitate that, there had to be a cutout in the slot here. I'm going to have to log in to eject that. There's an eject key. I forget which one it was, but anyway. When I was in high school, I had an interest in learning how to service and maintain computers. It was something that I enjoyed, and I got in touch with the IT support staff at the high school that I was a student at, and that disk didn't mount. So it doesn't know it's there. Hold on. I digress. So I was starting to kind of befriend the IT staff, and I was like, I really want to learn how to do this maybe as a career someday, and I wanted to get into IT support. That was something that I was keenly interested in. And they were like, well, I'll tell you what we can do. So the network admin at my high school, he was a Mac nut, and we had a stack of these LC3s, LC2s and LC3s. We had like multiple stacks of these things. And what they wanted to do was redeploy them. They were just taken out of regular service. They were 10 years, or probably about 8 or 9 years old at the time. And they were taken out of service. And they wanted to put them back into certain rooms to use for basically basic writing classes and stuff. I mean, they were basically a sunk cost at that point, and they wanted to kind of use them for something. And I can't find a paperclip anywhere in this office. Can't believe that. So that disc is stuck in there. Actually, no, there's... Hold on a second. Am I really losing it? Because I think I am. I really am. I'm losing it. You hold down the mouse button and will force the eject. There we go. Hold that button down and it force ejects. I wonder if the drive is disconnected. And it could be. That could very well be. Let's see. Shift key ejects the CD-ROM. There it goes. There it goes. Speller B for the Apple. It won't read it. Anyway, so one of my first tasks was to refurbish probably 20 of these machines. And between classes, we had like a 15-minute period, or I think I had a free block at one point. And that's what I did. I just went into the computer lab after my class, and I would just start erasing drives. And what we would do back in the day, you could do this with early Macs. I don't think you can do it anymore. No, you can't do it anymore. I know that for a fact. But you could clone drives, just copy one drive to another, and it was the easiest thing in the world. Just clone the drive. So I had a Macintosh LCIII, and I would take the Macintosh LCIII's drive. No, wait, hold on a second. So there's 2 drive slots in the LCIII, and I copied the contents of a master drive to the local drive on the LCIII, or maybe it was to an external. I think it was an external. And then I would just mount the drive from my next victim onto into the LCIII, and I would just copy the files from one to the other, boom, and then take that drive out, throw it into a into another LC2, and that was it. I mean, it was the easiest thing in the world. You just copy, paste, copy, paste. That was one of my first ever jobs. It was volunteer hours, but it cut my teeth on. Hold on, I'm noticing this monitor, the geometry's a little off, so excuse me while I adjust it. I have my my CRT alignment tools here somewhere. What did I do with them? I just had a cut. One of these should fit. A little hex thing in there. So anyway, that's how I kind of cut my teeth on older Macs. And back then, they weren't collector's items. They were just old machines. And, you know, let's see. Here we go. Nope. That's the wrong size tool. I think so. Let's try the flat end of it. Can't seem to get a grip on the... There we go. So what we'll do is we'll position ourselves. I think I have to raise the image up just a hair. That. But anyway, I did that for my, how's that look, guys? What do you think? Maybe go a little bit more. Yeah, just a hair. But anyway, so I noticed early on that, you know, there was just something very unique and very very stylish about the design of the LC series. And I just kind of had a liking for it. I really did. Now, these machines were often paired with an upgraded RGB monitor, or a, I'm not sure what it was called exactly, but it had a swivel base. And those monitors were great, but they didn't have the same design language as the base CPU unit. So they kind of looked a little out of place, and they would put a lot of weight right in the middle. And one of the design flaws with this chassis is, if you look down the side of it a little bit, you can see that the center right here, it kind of bows down a little bit. That is perfectly normal. They all do it. Every one of them. In fact, they would start doing that when they were fairly new. And it was unavoidable. Let me see if I can push the image that way a little bit. There we go. That's dead on right there. That's perfect. The other thing I want to point out, you'll notice that the image has a lot of border around it here, and that is normal. They all were like that, even when they were new. So that's not a malfunction. That's not from aging components or anything weird like that. That's just how they were made. In fact, I believe all Apples were like that. Even the Apple IIs. They always had a large border around. So you're paying for in this case, I think that's a 12-inch display. So you're paying for a 12-inch display, and you're only getting to use like, what, 10 inches? Let's see. Yeah, so the CRT is a 12-inch CRT, and you only have an effective area of about, what did I say, 10 inches? Yeah, just about 10 inches. Talk about a ripoff. And this is at a time when you buy an 80 megabyte hard drive and you only have about 70 megabytes of usable space. Like that, it was a different time. That's just how the world worked. But anyway, this is my LC3. This is the scanner. It pairs really nicely with it, and we got to see how that works, and it works pretty well. Despite advanced age, this thing actually is pretty cool. Well, until then, guys, you take it easy.